The sound of the slap cut through the music, louder than the violinists, louder than the clinking glasses. I turned. My mother-in-law's hand hung frozen in the air, her face twisted with rage. My niece stood there, cheeks flushed red, tears spilling. "Why did you pour wine on the wedding dress?" she screamed. Gasps rippled through the guests. My fiancé, radiant just seconds ago, clutched at her gown and snarled, "You'll pay for the damage." My niece's voice trembled. "I didn't do it! Please, believe me!" But no one did. Not her parents, not the guests who turned their heads, and not my bride, who clutched the stain on her white dress as if it were a wound. The staff hesitated, then one of them muttered, "We could check the cameras." The room stiffened. My fiancé's eyes darted, just for a second, toward her mother. It was a flash of something I wasn't meant to see. I felt it like a stone in my chest, heavy, sharp. That was the moment I stopped hearing the music. That was the moment I started listening to the silence underneath. The stain was blamed on a child, but the stain was older than that. I saw it in the way my bride's voice cracked, not with shock, but calculation, a performance. I had lived long enough with lies to recognize their rhythm. I told myself I was imagining it, that stress, nerves, champagne were twisting her face into something unrecognizable. But my niece's eyes, terrified, pleading, told me the truth. Children don't lie with desperation like that. Only adults do. I watched as they dragged her away, as my mother-in-law hissed curses into the girl's ear, as my fiancé clutched my hand with too much force, whispering, "She ruined everything." No, not everything. Something else was being revealed here, a pattern, a strategy. My bride wasn't protecting the dress, she was protecting herself. And I, the groom, was left to decide whether I would keep playing the part written for me or begin rewriting the script. The party continued, but my mind detached. Smiles, laughter, photographs, shadows flickering on a wall. I began watching, quietly. My bride laughed with her friends, but her eyes scanned the room, restless. She avoided the cameras. She avoided me. Later, when the staff confirmed technical difficulties with the security feed, I didn't argue. I just nodded, silent. But silence doesn't mean surrender. I began collecting pieces, phone records, bank transfers, conversations she didn't know I overheard. Patterns emerged, meetings that didn't add up, money that disappeared, lies so small they could almost be dismissed, until they began to form a shape. And in the center of that shape stood her mother. The slap, the accusation, the ruined dress, it wasn't chaos, it was choreography. And I had been placed in the audience applauding the performance. But now I sat quietly in the back row, memorizing every step, every gesture, waiting for the curtain to fall. The truth arrived in the form of a report, a background check, financial records, conversations caught in fragments. Together, they drew a map of deceit. My bride was not marrying me to build a life. She was marrying me to secure one. Her debts, her family's manipulations. The wedding was not a union, it was an extraction. And the wine on the dress? Staged, a diversion, insurance against suspicion. The night I confronted her, I didn't shout. I simply slid the folder across the table. Her face drained of color as she opened it. "You went digging?" she whispered. "No," I said softly. "I went listening." Her mother's hand trembled as she reached for the folder. I stopped her with a look. Cold, final. I didn't need to explain further. The evidence did that for me. The next morning, the guests awoke to whispers. The wedding was off. No explanation, no spectacle, just absence. I left the ring on the table. next to the stained dress, folded neatly in its box. I didn't demand repayment. I didn't demand apology. Silence was the weapon. Silence and truth. They had built their world on deception, manipulation, control. By refusing to play my role, I collapsed the stage beneath them. The performance ended, the audience dispersed, and they were left standing alone, clutching a ruined gown that no longer held meaning. I walked away without looking back, not because I didn't want to, because I no longer needed to. The truth had already done the work. It had hollowed them out, stripped them of their theater. I felt no pity, no anger, just clarity. My niece's face, tear-streaked, innocent, was the only image I carried with me. Proof that lies collapse when truth refuses to bow. I didn't marry into their family. I buried them in their own performance. And in the silence that followed, I finally heard something real. My own freedom. They thought they could script my life, but I ended the play and left them to choke on their silence.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.